This podcast is brought to you by Red Barrel Studios. Welcome to another episode of Legacy of Luxury. Nick Constantino here and Jaron Solomon from the Solomon Brothers Studios. Jaron, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. Good to be back in the Solomon Brothers studio with you.
Bud, we are on season 2, man. It's pretty crazy. This is episode 30, I believe. Could you believe it? 30 episodes.
No, I wouldn't believe it.
I wouldn't believe it either. And I've made it this long as an employee, which is also nice to hear, which is wonderful.
Welcome to season 2 of your employment.
Season 2 of the employment. I feel like it's season 10 somehow already. So today we're going to talk about, I think this is a pet peeve of mine. And I think that we've woven its way into how we do business. So I think it's important to cover. Before I get to it, in audience land, raise your hand if with the last 5 days, you have had a just atrocious customer service experience. About 10 come to mind automatically. But before I go on my high horse and soapbox about how we've gotten here, Jaron, talk just a little bit about what you've seen, what your experience has been. We look at things a little bit differently, functionally. I think you're more of a capitalist and you look at it as a business guys, and I look at more of a sociology, psychology, like what the hell, how are we here? But talk a little bit about just how you think we've gotten to this point and what customer service is like right now.
Oh, man. If we go all the way back to December, you remember at the Christmas party we did for the staff, I use CARE as an acronym,
Yep.
But, we'll just use CARE as the actual word here, where I just don't think people care anymore, Nick. I just think that there's a lot of complacency. People love to travel and love to fly. So when you fly, you're going to fly on the airline, and whether you get good service or bad service, you're going to come back and fly again.
Yeah, you don't have a choice.
And it's almost like subconsciously or consciously, people are calling the bluff of if I give bad service, they'll still come back.
Yep.
And I think that there's a lot of that happening in the capitalist markets right now.
Yeah.
We certainly obviously don't take that approach. One, because I don't think we can. I don't think we're powerful enough.
Not yet.
Not yet. But even so, customer service, the experience is everything. But this show is called Legacy of Luxury. So when you're buying something of luxury, we've talked about what that means to you and what it means to each person, though, is that this is an important purchase that you don't necessarily need, that you want. And so you want to have a good experience. We're not selling a need product. We're selling a want product. And you can always find something maybe cheaper or less quality or whatever it is. But you want that experience and you want to enjoy yourself. So, we have tried to step it up. It's like a prerequisite now when we're building out a showroom that I need some type of bar.
Yep.
What does a bar have to do with jewelry? Absolutely nothing. What does it have to do with customer service? Absolutely everything.
Yeah.
So I think that that's where we're going with it. That's what we love to do in our jewelry stores. That's what we would recommend to other folks. And I think that when you go into other luxury shops that are still doing it right, I'm going to call out if anyone from Rolex would ever listen to this show, or Patek, which they probably don't, but maybe a little call out from a mini podcast like ours will get someone's attention. But they've got to get their customer service better. Yeah. When you're walking in and buying the ultimate luxury, a luxury timepiece, and you are walking out, so many people are calling us and saying, that was atrocious. Yeah. That was awful.
Yeah.
I don't even want to buy the watch anymore. Yeah. Well, you know what? That only lasts so long before it hurts you.
Yeah. And I think that, so there's a couple of things at play here. I think you said capitalism. And I think ultimately what has to be understood is that we have switched from a service-based, people-based economy to a market-based economy. Yeah. There is so much noise out there. Everything is about price and margins. We sit here and we talk about how more people are getting strapped more and more in the middle. The middle class is bifurcating between either you have to go and be rich to get by, or you have to consider yourself lower class. And just as far as income goes, and the corporations are still having record earnings every year.
Yeah.
And why is that? Well, they cut call centers. There's no way to really chat. They don't provide the customer service. I mean, there used to be days where you could bring jeans back to Nordstrom and they would just replace them even if they were run over by a car. Yeah. Those days don't exist, bro. Nordstroms don't even exist anymore. So if you think about it, you think about all these brands, and it always starts in the same point. I think private equity has changed it. But let's get back to when you talk about a person-based economy, things like State Farm saying, like a good neighbor. Okay.
Yeah.
They don't even say that anymore. It's been removed because that's not how a neighbor treats you. That's not even how a bad neighbor treats you. That's how like an arch rival treats you. So I think what's really important is that there always has to be a tipping point, and the tipping point is coming, but it will take years for these things to realign, because what happens is that all of a sudden people get strapped, and when they're strapped for cash, they will not spend as much. And then what they're certainly going to do is not spend as much on bad experiences. Right. I liken this. You and I went, I will not name the hotel because they were a partner of ours and a partner, but you and I went to a gala. We're talking 4-star hotel. You're talking one of the most prominent institutions you can argue in the country.
Yeah.
The experience, we walked in, gold plated floors, everything was immaculate, perfect. You walk out the door, the valet line is 2 hours.
Yeah.
And what bothered me was not necessarily the length of the valet line. It was the excuses being made by each party. Oh, it's the hotel's fault. Oh, it's the valet's fault. Oh, they're private contractors. This go around of excuses.
Yeah.
And I think that personally is what irks me the most, is that instead of somebody saying, sir, it is my bad. Here's what I'm doing to rectify the situation. If you come back, I promise you, we'll let you park for free. You come experience the restaurant. They just blame each other.
Yeah.
And that's where I draw my line. I will not let that happen. I will scream. I'm probably on deaf ears, but I will scream until someone acknowledges the fault and gives me some sort of retribution for what I just went through.
I think the free drink is like lost. It's like, hey, you're standing for your car. You're just going to wait. There's a bar inside of this hotel.
I might not hand a drink before you drive away, but I see where you're going with it.
No, but I'm just saying the old restaurant, your food came out wrong. Let me get you a drink. Let me do something for you. It's like the apology is the best you're going to get now. And it used to be.
And not even a real apology.
No.
Like a brush off.
Used to be a creme brulee.
Yeah. If they brought me a creme brulee in that line, I would have forgotten about it instantly.
Yeah.
I would have instantly. And what does that creme brulee really cost them? Really, if you have to do the math, 30 cents, 40 cents.
That's what's missing. It's like there might be the apology. It's kind of fake. And there's just no really reckoning with like, hey, this person's having a bad experience. How can I make it better? I maybe can't make, the car come faster in this particular analogy, but how can I just make this better?
Yeah. I think we have to understand that customer service is as much as it is a preemptive thing, right? If they have a great experience, you're solving problems. And the way you solve a problem is not to create more problems. And by these people pointing fingers, all they're doing is creating more problems, because now I don't have trust in the institutions. So I think as far as customer service goes, one, let's be honest, there are some people who are just douches.
Yeah.
You get reviews, you can tell. Right now we're being review bombed by a competitor. And by the way, if you're that competitor, we know we actually have proof documentation. And next time you put a review in, a fake review, please don't say that your husband bought you an engagement ring, because that doesn't even make sense. And Google will know that automatically, you dum-dum. But those things happen. There are people who had a bad day, they take it out on you.
That's right.
I understand that. You should still respond with the what can we do to make it better? You've heard me joke about this 100 times. I actually think 1-star reviews are important, because they show how you can handle a situation. If you respond immediately with a real answer, sometimes challenging the person, sometimes offering a solution. You know what I hate? 3-star reviews, because that's meh, and meh is immediately forgettable.
Yeah, you didn't do anything wrong, but you really weren't impressive.
Meh.
Yeah, it's like,
just meh. What do you reply back to that?
You're not even really complaining.
Hey, Bucko, hopefully next time we can give you a 4 if we're lucky. It won't be a 2. So, but all of this comes in because one of the things that's really starting to change, I think, especially for local businesses, is I think there are always ebbs and flows between corporate national brands and local brands having an advantage. And I feel the advantage slipping my way a little bit, and just as a local business operator. So tell me a little bit about, let's not name brands, but there are corporate hierarchy brands, there are private equity bought out brands. Talk a little bit about what you've seen and how you've seen them evolve, and how much customer service has to do with that evolution, and then why you think there's some opportunities for us to kind of swoop in there.
Yeah, once again, I think customer service does boil down to what is the autonomy that the people have in your operation, right? And so if they don't have the autonomy, then when you hear somebody say, my hands are tied, if that's actually true, like the system won't let you put in the discount, the system won't let you give the freebie away, whatever it is, like if their hands are actually tied, that's what I see. That's a massive advantage for us,
right?
Because our hands are literally never tied. That would be saying my hands are tied,
right?
And my hands are not tied,
right?
Thanks, Mom,
right?
But it's
unless you get Allie in the right mood, but that's a different question.
Oh, PG-13. We just went there. No, but I think that, our staff, and I would encourage anyone listening to this, that has their own independent business. You're an entrepreneur out there.
Yep.
You are as good as you allow your people to be. And I am a big believer in, we had an incident yesterday. It was just yesterday. A ring broke after the customer had it for one day. There was
Yeesh.
porosity in the ring. There's no way of knowing that until it breaks,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
that's like a lemon.
Yeah.
Car. There's a law against it because, but really,
Yeah, the
odds
lemon,
are
yeah.
1.001. You just happen to be the one. It sucks. Here we go. We got you.
And exactly. And it was kind of like, the sales associate came back to me and said, this happened. I'm like, what do you think we should do? They're like, well, I think we should let them shop for a brand new piece. I said, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
We need to stand behind what we're selling and what we're doing and have that commitment. And if you are a small business owner like us, you can stay committed. And if you're a big corporate tycoon, I actually get it, because we're getting big enough that I can relate to red tape, because you can't make an exception for everybody, because there's so much judgment call in it.
Yeah.
This is such an easy judgment. When a ring breaks after a day because of porosity, what an easy judgment call. Take care of it, move on. The customer, has it for 3 months. It comes back bent. They kind of say, I was playing with my kids, but I don't know what happened after that. It's like, well, whose fault was that?
Yeah.
I still want to take care of you, but what does that mean now?
Yeah.
It becomes, interesting.
And when you give an inch, they want a foot. When you give a foot, they want a yard. Those are built into just human nature. It's completely understandable. And I think sometimes there's also the acknowledgement that the bad apples make things worse for the people. And I'll give you an example. Like, when you go, let's say I actually ate at fast food, right? And you go and there's a line wrapped around, but what no one sees is the guy at front that's ordering for 65 people and doesn't want to call in advance and is being horrible with the person. They don't see that.
Right.
So it's also, again, I think that there's also a certain amount of animosity that people have towards each other, and you just see problems. Like, look, when you're driving on the highway, it sucks there's traffic. But there are times where you could actually see the one dumbass on the road that started all that traffic.
Right.
Right? In a real system, we should be able to get out of the car, take your shoe, and throw it at them. But you're not allowed to do that.
Guys, Nick would say it's a zipper. It's a zipper. You got to merge. You got to come in.
It's a zipper merge. It's literally
merge.
how this world is supposed to work. So, and I think what you bring up is a good point, right? First off, I think that customer service, it really is a top-down thing. And I think that even if let's say we just one day got absorbed by private equity, right? Yeah. Even if that private equity company came in here and said, Jaron, we are going to keep every single system that you put in place. We're going to do you. So within 6 months, they're going to all fall to horrible, because what happens is that budget item all of a sudden becomes, I would bet, if I were a betting man, at least 1% of our total revenue we could save if we stopped helping and taking care of people.
Yeah.
And I think that's a pretty high number when you do the math.
It is.
And I think for you, that 1% is worth it for the long run. For private equity, that exit is all that matters. That 1% means nothing other than synergies, and that creates some money off of it.
Yeah, it's the beauty of a family business. It's the beauty of not having your hands tied. And so, yes, you come in, you lost an earring back. You just bought the studs 2 weeks ago. We're going to give you the earring back for free. And these types of examples, and that earring back it's $45 now with the way gold price is. So it's real money, but it's a real experience too. These are real people, and I really want them to come back. So it's.
Yeah, I'll give you another example of one and it gets murky, but like Costco, perceived as such a high quality company. Okay. I had TV delivered, a TV and a stand, super easy. First off, gets delayed. It's not even on the truck. Yeah. So I get a call. It's not on the truck, blah, blah, blah. Costco comes up as spam on my phone. Okay, so I never even got the calls. First of all, whose freaking problem is that? That's not a me problem, Costco. If you're coming up in spam, that means you pissed off so many people that they spammed you and they blocked you. You problem. Then it's a recording. 5 minutes of garbage prompts just to get to the information to which they're going to give me.
Right.
Then I press the button to talk to somebody. Nobody answers. They hang up on me. All the process finally gets delivered. Somehow I do get a phone call. You want to know why? Because they were trying to get me, not solicit me, bully into giving 5-star reviews. Okay. So let me make it clear. Okay. Now that I'm in marketing and this is a world I live in, that is terrible customer service. You did nothing to make my life easier. And then once the product was over, all you did was leave a lasting taste of bad in my mouth after that product. How is this possible that we're allowed to be that way for a company as respected as Costco? And now the answer is surprising to people. It's the bureaucracy.
Right.
Because at the corporate level, they couldn't give less of a crap about you. At the local level, the redirects bounce so many places, there's no chance you're going to be found. And this poor guy is just trying to do his job because he's probably bonused on the 5-star reviews that he gets.
Right.
So do I blame this guy? No, I blame the chain of events.
Right.
And until these companies get either control of the chain or hire enough people so the chain is seamless, I think we're in big trouble. And I promise you one thing, AI is not solving it.
No.
AI is not a customer service model. Yeah, it'll blow smoke up your ass and tell you what you want to hear,
Yeah.
but it is not. It is only solving problems based on the inputs you give it. And if you give it bad inputs, it can't take autonomy.
Right.
It can't take autonomy.
No, it's not going to replace. And that's the customer service will come back, and it will come back in a big way when people start demanding that it comes back, and when these corporate guys start feeling it in their pocketbook. And it takes time to feel that way. And listen, we're in a consumption Western society, right? I mean, we consume a lot.
That we are.
And while we're consuming, if people don't feel like they need to give the service, I'll throw it up there that I don't think the people at Costco don't care up top. I think that it's so big and so massive,
bureaucracy, yeah.
and there's so much red tape that I don't know if there's much they can do about it, other than saying, hey, shareholders, we need to invest more in people.
Yeah. And then that's what's going to happen. What's going to happen is that all of a sudden people are going to stop shopping. They're going to miss their earnings numbers a couple of times, and they're going to make these programs to reinvest. They're going to hire back all the people that they're firing right now. These ebbs and flows happen. Look, we're at the end of the economic cycle. You can cover all these things. So now let's get off of our high horse. So let's talk a little bit about when you hire salespeople. Like especially your front of house people, talk about how important the interview process is, and give some practical tips on how you can almost quiz people. Because one of the things I like to do, for example, is when I interview, I'm not concerned where you went to college. I'm concerned, tell me a time where shit hit the fan and you were terrified and how you reacted.
Yeah.
That's part of customer service also, right? Is when someone's screaming at you, the natural reaction is headbutt them square in the nose.
Yeah.
Can't do that. So give us some tips on what you look for in employees, especially front of line employees that are dealing with the customers.
For sure. So one of my interview questions every single time is, tell me about a situation with a customer that you couldn't make happy and that you didn't make happy. They walked out unhappy. And I actually think this is the best example, because you want to hear everything that person had to do. You want the example of the person you couldn't make happy, because everything you went through to make them happy, I will now know. You offered them the drink. You offered them a private room. You offered them a discount. You offered them half off on their wedding band. You did everything you possibly could, right?
Some of this is body language. You're not adversarial, and there's so much psychology goes into this nowadays, but yes.
No, there's no question about it. And then, from there, I love to hear, okay, what are all those solutions that you came up with? Because now I'm getting 7 solutions in one answer, which is, I'm a big time guy. So there's one question, 7 answers. So I definitely think you should ask that question. Number 2, I like to get down to more, how do they treat their own home? Because, the way that you treat your home or your apartment or whatever it may be is probably how you're going to treat other people and how they feel about things. So I love the walk me through your closet. Tell me about your processes. How do you organize things? Do you organize things? I want to know. Do the shorts go over here? Do the socks go over here?
The only thing I will argue is, because this is a funny quirk, but I believe that people who are obsessive compulsive are just selfish. That actually they say they have OCD, but the only thing they care about is their areas. Everything else is a mess around them. So
it's very possible.
I've seen many people who are so obsessive about things that are in there, and then the general areas are a freaking mess because they don't feel like that's that ownership, so they don't care.
For sure, no. I'm not looking for I'm not looking for an OCD person. I'm essentially looking for me. I'm a great example of, if you walk into my closet, my underwear and socks will always be in the same drawer. My shorts will always be together.
It's a respect.
It is. And if there's enough clothes on the floor, I'm going to pick them up. But I am the furthest thing from OCD, as you know.
It's a respect thing. You respect the areas to which you work, to which you operate, because then you'll respect your coworkers and your employees.
And you get down to caring, right? You get back to that word care. So that's my tip for talking with folks front of house.
Yeah. And I think that ultimately, again, they're in a hard situation because they got salespeople yelling at them because of this transaction. They're working with so many people, and they're some of the lowest paid. They're not the commission people. They're not the tipped people. Think of like a maitre d' at a restaurant or a hostess. But if you want to talk about, ask any restaurant owner, that front of house person is probably the single most important person there.
No question. And I think that's why when you walk into a nice hotel and the bellman just takes care of everything, you do take that 20 out of your pocket. Sure. Heck, with traveling with 3 kids now,
for sure,
I took $100 out of my pocket the other day just because I was like, dude, you got to deal with this
Oh,
baby
you
and
know
kid.
what? You just started a whole nother
Unbelievable.
rabbit hole, bro. Like here's the problem. I agree with you, but here's the problem. Everybody expects a tip now. So now you're only, if you don't give that hundo, you go to buy a $3 coffee and it's like dollar tip is the minimum you can put in.
Right.
It's like, yo, do you realize
I
that
agree
you're
with
asking
that.
for 33% tip? Like when did we stop learning how math operates? That is insanity. You go to a bar and what they try to do is they try to sneak a gratuity on, but it's like, whoa, this is a bar. It's $1 per drink. This is not 20%.
Right.
Who just threw this out the window? But the most audacity by far is when you go and they don't even have 20% on there more. It starts at 22% and 22, 24, and 26. And it's like, yo, look, man, I get it, but all you're doing is allowing your employee to pay you less and relying on me more for it. What are you doing to get me to give you 26%?
Right.
I don't even want to say on air what I would expect for 26%.
Yeah, please don't.
I don't even want to say what I
Put the bleep it out.
I don't even, but that's another thing is if we've ruined this system because everything is for granted. You mentioned the airlines. Everything is taking everything for granted. When you go into a restaurant, what do you have to do to get great service? Do you want to know what used to be? Why when I would give 20%? Bring out a free appetizer. Give a little amuse-bouche. Give a drink, a little thing of champagne. It costs you no money. Just say, oh, it seems like you're celebrating something.
Yeah.
That'll get a higher tip. You know what will not? Literally being the worst server ever, not paying attention, not asking questions, disappearing, and then giving a face when you give a 16% tip.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
How did we get there?
I really don't know. But you are so right about the tipping. And you want to talk about like tipping the valet, and everyone's charging you for the valet. So you have to pay for your ticket, and then you got to tip these guys on top of it that are working their butts off. I get it. But you're going to places that you never used to pay for the valet. So like, it's just unbelievable.
That money usually is to offset the cost that the valet charged to the restaurant for doing it. So again, that's the problem. All the money is being funneled to the top.
Yeah.
And again, like, look, you know what? Here's one of my last high horse thing, and then we'll go on to something else. So I feel like, unfortunately, in the state of capitalism that we are in, there are two ways that you can succeed as a middle-class person, as a good person. One, you can sell your soul to the devil and realize that this is capitalism and make bad decisions for immediate gratification, which is happening 90% of the places in business, corporate offices. Or number two, you can come to terms with the fact right now that life is not fair and stop complaining about it. You complaining about it is never, you joke about liberals, right? The problem with the liberals is they bitch about it and have no solutions.
Yeah.
This world doesn't need more problems. This world needs solutions.
Right.
And the only way to come to solutions is to realize that fairness is not a real part of the equation. I am a Darwinist that survival of the fittest really exists.
Yeah.
You complaining it's not fair is going to get you eaten in the real world.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the beauty of capitalism, right? Is you don't have to go back to the restaurant.
Right.
That's the best part. I mean, I remember growing up with my dad, if they got the order wrong, he was just a guy he would never send it back. He just would never. I don't care if that steak was mooing and he wanted it medium. He wasn't sending it back.
Which is insane because that's easy. If you ask for it medium rare and it comes out well done, you're screwed. But going in and just throwing it in the oven for another minute is easy.
I know. He would just say, listen, if you didn't take the time to give me good service, to check my order, to do the right things, I'm not asking for anything for free. I'm just asking for what I ordered. Yeah. Then he just wouldn't go back. And I always admired that of like, he voted with his pocketbook and said, listen, if you're going to give me good service, I'm going to keep coming back here. Yeah. That's why we ended up only going to 3 restaurants my whole life. But
and not only that, you ain't getting on a plane if that's the case. There's no one worse. Like I am a Delta fan. Don't get me wrong. But like Delta, it is literally saying Delta is the best airline is saying like herpes is the best STD. Like these are not ways we should be comparing things.
Unfortunately, that's true.
So anyway,
but right. You're still the best, Delta.
You're still the best, just like herpes. Okay, so and I'm not actually comparing Delta to herpes in case anyone's watching.
Yes, sorry, Ed.
But all right. So let's leave it with this. I'm going to leave my closing. You leave a little closing. I'm going to do this more at an operator level. You do it more from an owner level, right? Ultimately, the buck stops with you. I have to relay those messages, which is a completely different skill set because of psychology and everything. Yeah. But you have to be held accountable to those, which is really hard. So I'm going to leave it with this. There's 4 parts of customer service that are incredibly important. First is the availability. Can you get to the person that needs to help you? Second is competence. Can they understand why you're upset and the problem and diagnose it? Third is ownership. Do they have the ability to say, I understand, I apologize? And then fourth is care. Do they make you feel like you matter? Each one of those things in itself are incredibly important. And without one of those, you will never have good customer service. I think a lot of people do a good job of 1, 2, maybe even 3 of those things. But if you don't do the 4 of them, 1, 2, and 3 end up 4. If there's no one that's available, if there's no one that's competent, if there's no one that's taking ownership, how are they going to show that they care?
Agreed.
So think about it that way, and I think you'll be okay. What about you, bud?
Yeah, honestly, I hope I never lose this. I'm still so young in the business. And of course, I came in after my dad passed away. I have a name to uphold, and, our last name is on the door. But for anyone out there that can do this, I love doing it. When there's a customer service problem, I love to pick up the phone and call that person.
Yeah.
I didn't deal with them. They're not my customer, quote unquote, that I didn't get to meet them. But every customer that walks in here is my customer in the most genuine way, and I care about them. And so I just think when you have the ability to pick up the phone and call, or if they come into the store, this is even better for me, right? I can go out there and say, I'm so sorry, shake their hand, look them in the eye, just those little things. You can't do it with everybody.
For sure.
Because it's just not possible. But for those out there that can do it and have the ability, keep doing it, because once you lose that, even if it's, you're helping 50,000 customers and you can only do it to 50 people a year, it's still keeping, I think, the culture of what you should want your customer service to be.
And that's what, and I'm glad I asked it that way, because, and I think it is the most important thing in the world, but I would add, send an email of context first. Because explaining in context, because what if you have the problem wrong? What if it's been relayed to you wrong? You're calling with the wrong information. So, hey, I'm going to call you. Here's the facts. Is this correct? So we know what we talk about over the phone.
Yeah.
Little things like that go a very long way, because a lot of times the miscommunication and misunderstanding is a lot of times 70% of this. He said, she said. It's like, well, none of you have recordings, so let's come to a real solution, guys. Okay.
Right.
So anyway, so I love what we're doing with the poker chips. I love how we're kind of rewarding customer service, not the stupid things that people think are customer service. Not someone walked out here smiling. You picked up garbage on the floor so no one had to look at it. Right. I like those little things. I think that's a good way to do it. And I think it's, almost like a puppy rewarding behavior, but it's really what you're trying to do. Is
we all like a good reward.
Positive behavior. So I'm all for it. All right. This was a good one. I'm glad we got to cover it. All of you, every one of you, you can be better at it. I promise you, no one out there is perfect.
That's right.
From the hotels to Costco, everybody be a little better, be a little nicer, remove yourself from the situation, because I know you're having a bad day. Doesn't mean somebody else should also. And you've been listening to The Legacy of Luxury, and we'll catch you next time.
Love it.